Hey, good afternoon, wood butchers. Well, one little project I did a while ago doesn't work. This was my attempt at making a holder for all my nail guns. Yeah, it holds them, but it's not very convenient. It's not working good. So I'm going to start trying to think of how I can put these bad boys in a Tstak container.
Okay, Rex kind of helped me out here, and we got a problem. So this bad boy will not fit upright in any Tstak that I have, short of the big wheeled base there. The problem with that is it's not very practical. My idea is to have a stacks of T-stacks here that I can play with. Now, the two smaller ones do fit in the deeper T-stack very nicely. Unfortunately, kind of a waste to, do all this up for just two nail guns. So, I think what I'm going to do is make a custom component that will sit in the holes here, and then we'll have slots to put the nail guns in. It will integrate into the T-stack towers that I'm going to have, allow me to move things from side to side and to fit in with them, be portable, and progress from there. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I got a lot of thinking to do. This is why you never throw stuff out. Grabbed a T-stack, and I grabbed a scrap of some MDF that I had. Well, looky there. Almost the perfect size. And you know what? I might just be able to have it sit or make something that'll allow it to clip in there. Ooh, this could actually work out really well. What do you think, Rex? Think it's going to work? No, he's looking for a chunk of wood. So the top and bottom are cut to size. This is 12.5 inches and just under 17 inches. That's what the material was. That's what the scrap was. So that's what it's going to be. It's a little bit narrower than the T-stack units themselves, but it'll work. All right. So now what I want to do is use some of this foam within it to support all of the nail guns so that they're not riding on their tips. I don't want that. I want something light, something that if I bounces around, it's going to hold that in place. So I have to now measure from the tip here to the top here, and a little bit of room to get it up and out for figuring out how big the side pieces are. I'm also, on the bottom here, going to do kind of like a half lap for the edges and inset some hardboard that is 1/8 inch thick. And that will be my sides, back, and hold it all together. There'll be basically grooves, dados, cut 1/8 inch thick. Again, it's the size of my saw blade, so it's easy to set up for each partition for each gun. So I'm going to work on doing my measurements for the height, and also then working on positioning for each of the stops for each single nail gun. And I'm probably going to leave some extra space for some little brad containers. And then I'm also going to leave some space in case I maybe get another nail gun or something like that. So I'm going to percolate away on that and see what I come up with.
So I pulled out the slide rule and got some figuring done in my head. So these top and bottom plates are just over 16 3/4 of an inch wide. So that actually makes my life actually fairly simple. There is just a thin little kerf I'm going to have to knock off of each of these boards. Don't worry, saw's off. And so by doing my math, I actually figured out that, again, the saw kerf is 1/8 of an inch wide. So once I get this ripped, this whole board ripped to the right width, on my incre fence over here, which is zeroed out, to move it, I just move it effectively that way. The fence will move that way, but the line will effectively move further down this side of the scale by 1/8 of an inch. So all I have to do is do my math and figured out the number of 1/8 of an inch, or up here, it actually has a 32nd of an inch. So being in Canada, and we're with the metric system, I had a little trouble with getting my 32nds and 1/8 and all that stuff figured out quick. So I just made myself a little scale. So I'm gonna do some math, and I'm gonna come up with all of my cuts to make the slots. So I have a 4-inch space, a 3-inch space, and a 2-inch space. I'm debating if I actually just might make these with 1/2-inch spaces in between and make it shallower dados for the dividers, so that way I can reconfigure as I want and just glue in the ends and the back. Or maybe ends, a center one, and then a back one. I don't know. I gotta figure this out. All right, so this is why you never throw out scraps of wood. I did a test piece on this old scrap that had a bunch of holes cut out of it, and I didn't know what to do with it, but worked out good. So by increasing my spacing by 1/8 of an inch every single time, every single notch on the Incra fence, I was able to get nice even spacing. I tested out a few different depths. These are too deep, way too deep. I get a lot of flex in the board, and again, it's gonna be holding weight. So if it flexes down, it's gonna, allow the spacers to pop out. The final ones I've figured out are just about 1/8 of an inch deep, so it gives me about 3/4 of the depth of the MDF here, and it's very rigid. So I think once I put some backer along the back edge of it, it'll be perfectly strong enough for what I need. So now it's just a matter of figuring things out. I could have just done slots equally individually for each nail gun, but I figured out that what if I get a different nail gun or something else like that? Or what if I want to use it for storage for other things? I don't like purpose-built stuff for any tool, because once you built it, if things change, if a tool breaks, if a new tool comes out, you're going, oh wow, this is even better, then I like some modularity to it. So 1/2-inch spacing, 1/8 inch deep. I'll do both sets of each side continuously. And I think I'm gonna leave this part not grooved. I don't know, maybe I'll do it all the way. I was thinking a small area here for some little drawers for brad nails and stuff like that, or little gadgets for these nail guns and stuff. So time to get cracking on the other stuff and do my setup and layout and go from there. Okay, the bottom and top are all cut to size. I marked out for the areas where the clips will be attached to. Underneath, I'll probably cut a little aluminum bit and somehow incorporate that in there. I'm also going to relief cut the sides a little bit so that it's going to fit in. Rather than doing a half dado partway down, I'm just going to actually do the sides completely right to the bottom, glue and brad nail them in for a little bit more structural stability. The other way wasn't going to work as well as I'd hoped. So that's going to be my plan. Okay, so the base is all cut out. Use the jigsaw. Have a nice little relief here. I'll be able to inset a little aluminum plate after it's all done to give this something to latch onto. So that's coming along nicely. Both sides have enough room for the cleats to attach into and for it to go over top. So I'm happy, it's bopping along. Now just to do the sides for the relief cut. Well, Rex had a great idea. He said, don't cut the sides individually, tape them together with some masking tape, and then cut them together, just remembering which is front and which is back. Okay, I'll give it a try. That worked out perfect. Now a little bit of sanding just to get them all cleaned up and looking pretty. Okay, I'm all set up to do the slots on the bottom plate and top plate. I'll run them together. The bottom plate has the cutouts, as we saw last. The neat thing I'm finding with this Incra setup is I need to do very specific steps over and over and over again. So what I can do, rather than trying to do the math in my head and trying to figure out 5/8 or 20, 30 seconds or whatever the number is, I just made marks here. So all I do is I look on this one. Next time I need to move it in a bit, I move it to the next one, move it to the next one, move it to the next one. I've just done a series of these. So I can unclip this and say, hey, I need to go to the next one. So I'm going to bring it in to the next one. And I just realized I have to do it on the other side. So that's okay. I'll make the mark over here. And that way I'm going to each time know quickly and easily where to move my line. All right, coming along really nice. I got most of the slots done up. Again, I left about 2 inches out here because no matter what, there's always going to be about a 2-inch something stuck in there. The other ones fit in really nice. And I'm going to extend this out so that I have a little divider here I'll glue in. And this is going to be exactly the width of some little trays that I use for holding brads and stuff like that. And 2 layers will be able to fit in here. So I can keep my brads with this. And then I have a new cart coming as well. So I'm going to work on the designs of that with all the scraps I have. Okay, ready for some glue and assembly. I have some 5/8 inch brads in here. It's going to go into the end of the 1/2 inch MDF. I know it's going to split a little bit. I'm hoping the glue and some brads will be enough. It's not going to take a lot of weight. I have all the divider panels I need cut up, and I have the 2 end pieces. So I'm going to get to working on that, and I'll show you the next stage. All right, it's all glued together, and I realize that this 1/8 inch stuff is just too flimsy. You can even see, I'm not sure how strong it's going to be. So what I did was I found another scrap of 1/2 inch. The beautiful thing about the anchor fence is I know this was 16 3/4. So I set my fence exactly back to that, cut it exactly the right width. And I knew that this was 13 inches up and down. So I set it to 13 inches. It was a bit snug. So using the adjustment wheel on the fence, I was able to dial it in to the exact width I needed. I'm going to get this pressed in place, hit it with some CA glue along the sides and a little bit of activator. I think that's going to hold that 100%. So, and then I'm pretty sure there'll be a couple of brads along the sides and edges. That's not going anywhere. So, top, bottom, needed a back. The hardboard I was looking at just wasn't going to be strong enough. Anyways, I'll get back when I have that all done and I have some dividers made. Okay, so all gluing up nicely on the Carcass. Everything looking good there. I'm going to let the glue set for a little bit more. But I'm making up a template for a poor man's CNC. I have a set of template bushings for my router that I've never used. And I just realized if I mark out where all these little feet are, then I can router that into the top of whatever I'm putting on, onto that, or the bench or the little rolly cart I'm going to make for all the other T-stacks. So I'm going to give this a shot and see how it goes. The original, or the template, is going to be made out of 1/4 inch hardboard. It's a little warpy, but it's all I got right now. And I'm going to cut it. I'm going to figure out the offset, which I think is just a little bit more. Cut them out and then do some testing on that with a nice spiral upcut bit that I got. Should work out really quite good. So let me work on this template. All right, I have the template all done up. I decided to use a bigger bushing because the small one was just touching the router bit, so I went a little bit wider on around the holes. It actually worked out better because my file was exactly this width, so that actually worked out good. Next thing is to clamp this thing down onto a board and template it out and see how it goes, but all of the holes and everything lines up nicely. All right, so I got the template dialed in. These holes without the X's are the ones that works really good. The boxes stick right on top of it, holds it down, clips in nicely. The only thing is when I'm routing this out with the template and the bushing, dust collection is not that great, so I have to do a bit of a rough out, vacuum out the holes, come back in and do a cleanup, but working good. So once that box there is dried up, which should be fairly soon, I'm gonna give it a go on the top of that one. All right, project is all done. It turned out really quite good. Couple features. Number one is I have
little padding here for each of the guns, just so they don't get smacked up on the tip. I just don't want to keep putting a lot of pressure on that. So they slide in real nice. It's all set up since I'm right-handed and usually grabbing for things with my right hand. So I did some cutouts in the dividers so that my hand would be able to fit through nicely. And that works out really good. I can reach in and not jab my hand on anything. And I made them progressively lower for each of them. The little trees I have for brads and everything are here. I'm gonna have to figure out a divider, probably a little piece of hardboard and some hot glue. That should work there. Yeah, I'm really happy. It should fit really quite nicely, and the template on the top worked out fantastic. So for the project coming up, sit it right there. It's attached. So now I have a template for allowing myself any object to have the divots for any Tstak. So that worked out really quite good. Otherwise, I'm really quite impressed. This was a kind of a fun Saturday. It's kind of snowing and blowing outside, so nothing else to do. Can't go do anything else and can't go shopping, so let's just go build stuff in the shop.